Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulger. Chapter 1. I come from one of the most ancient and honorable families of North Germany, famous for its valor and love of adventure. One of my ancestors, when just entering the 20s, heard at his father's table one morning that England's great King Coeur de Lion was about to lead an army against the infidels. "Gracious parent," cried the young man, starting up from his seat, his eyes on fire, his cheeks ablaze. "May I join the Crusaders and aid in the destruction of the enemies of our holy religion?" "Alas, poor boy," replied his father, casting a pitying glance at the youth, who through some strange freak of nature had been born armless. "Thou wert not intended for the terrible conflicts such as await our cousin Coeur de Lion. Thou lackest every means of wielding the battle sword, of couching the lance. 'Twould be murder to set the defenseless body before the uplifted scimitar of the merciless Moslem. My dear son, banish such thoughts from thy mind, and turn thee to poesy and philosophy. Thou shalt add new luster to our family name by thy learning." "Nay, gracious parent, hear me," urged the youth with eloquent eye. "True nature has denied me arms, but she has not been so cruel as might be supposed. For as compensation, she has given a giant's strength to my lower limbs. Dost not remember how last month I slew a wild boar with one blow from the heel of my hunting boot?" "I do," answered the grim old baron with a smile. "But pardon my interruption, noble father," came from the young man. "I shall go into battle doubly armed, for to each stirrup shall I affix a sword, and woe betide the Mussulman who dares meet me on the battlefield." "Go then, my son," cried the old baron, as the tears trickled down his battle-scarred cheeks. "Go join our royal cousin, Coeur de Lion. And if thou, armless, canst withstand the fury of the infidel, another glory will be added to the name of Trump. And in this ancestral hall shall hang a portrait of the Armless Knight, upon which for all time the lovers of valiant deeds shall rest their wondering eyes." The joy of my young ancestor knew no bounds. Scarcely staying to make the needful preparations for his journey, with a handful of trusty retainers, he rode from the castle yard amid the plaudits of thousands of fair women who had gathered from the neighboring city to wish Godspeed to the Armless Knight. 'Twas not until the famous battle under the walls of Joppa that my ancestor had an opportunity to give an exhibition of his bravery, his extraordinary strength, and the resistless fury of his onslaughts. Not one, not five, not 10 common soldiers dared face the Armless Knight. Whole squadrons recoiled in terror before this mysterious avenger of the wrongs of Christendom, who, without hands, struck down the Moslem warriors as the grain falls before the blast. Again and again, Saladin sent the flower of his men against the Armless Knight, whose strength and valor had already made his name a terror to the superstitious soldiery. Little realizing the terrible fate awaiting him, the Moslem warrior would rush upon my ancestor with uplifted scimitar, when with one blow of his sword-armed stirrup, the Armless Knight would cleave the breast of his foeman's horse, and then trample the infidel to death as he rolled upon the ground. It was now high noon. Upon an eminence, Saladin, watching the tide of the battle, saw with anxious eye the appalling slaughter of the very flower of his army. Already the name, rank, and nationality of my young ancestor had been made known to the Moslem leader. La ilaha Muhammad ul-Bakala, he cried, stroking his beard. Blessed is the man who can call that Christian warrior his son. How many of the Prophet's children has he slain this day? 659, was the answer given. 659, echoed Saladin. And it is but noonday. When nightfall came, the number had been increased to 1,007. Upon hearing of the terrible day's work of the Armless Knight, Saladin's great heart bled, and yet he could not withhold his admiration for such wondrous skill and bravery.